Hello, I'm Admirals play-by-play announcer Aaron Sims, and today we're checking in with Admirals alternate captain and defenseman Kevin Gravel. Kevin, good to see you. How's your summer been?
Good to see you, Simsy. It's been good. It's been quiet, which is always nice. After a long season, you kind of just want to come back and recharge and kind of turn the brain off for a bit before you get back into it. So it's been good. I just got back on the ice last week for the first time, and actually skating with Grosser and Keaton both. So I've been seeing those guys lots, but it's been a good summer so far. Like I said, quiet. So good. So far, so good.
So, is when you get on the ice here, is that about the normal time you get on the ice? Let's say your season ended at the end of April. Would you have taken 2 months away from the ice and gotten on at this same time anyway? Or did because the season went into June, is it later than normal?
A little bit of both. I usually look at like the 4th of July. Kind of after that, try to start finding my way back on the ice. This year, I think it was a week after that. I mean, I probably could have even gone a little bit farther, but then you kind of start getting summer starts. You kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there. So then you start getting the anxiety and all that. So I hopped back on last week just to kind of get your bearings back, and then a couple times a week just to make you feel like you've played hockey before in your life. So
I,
it's good.
I wonder how long did it take you to learn your summer schedule? Did you have it down pretty well in college? Did it take a year or two as a pro? When did you learn to
No,
set this up?
I feel like it's completely different than college. College, I feel like you kind of almost don't. Well, it's just a completely different schedule, right? You're only playing 30
Yeah,
games,
you're done
35
in
games.
April there at the latest. Yeah.
Done in April. I lived in St. Cloud during the summers. All every summer I was there. So, but I feel like we kind of skated the whole summer. We maybe we took two. I know our school's program. We took 2 weeks off after the end of the season, whenever that ended up being, and then we got into spring workouts throughout the rest of the school year. And then guys went their separate ways. I would go home for I don't know, a couple weeks and then come back to St. Cloud. And I feel like we kind of hopped on the ice right away. Usually just like captain's practice or shinny skates or things like that, because with the rules the way they were at that point, I don't think the coaches could do anything with you.
Right.
Um, we had a pretty good group that stuck around and skated and all that. So we kind of skated right away. You know what? In pro, I've been fortunate. I've kind of played deep into a lot of my years. So I think the 4th of July kind of got maybe chosen for me as like a benchmark, an easy benchmark, just to kind of be able to time it out like that. It certainly took me a few years. I know my first year pro, we I ended up winning the Calder Cup, so we got back. I mean, maybe even like a week before the 4th of July. So
Yeah.
certainly wasn't hopping on the ice then. So and then I think probably just liked how I felt after that year, and just kind of stuck with that since then.
You mentioned your first year winning a championship. It was certainly a fine season in Milwaukee this year. When did you or have you gotten over the season? How do you when you reminisce, when you look back at the season, what do you think of?
I mean, obviously, first off, you got to look at it as a big picture. I think it was a great season, for a lot of guys personally, and then for the team as a whole. I mean, you look at how many guys this year in Milwaukee played for Nashville and played big roles in Nashville, and played a lot of games in Nashville, and that's ultimately what you're trying to do, right? So when you look at that thing, when you look at that scale, it was obviously tremendously successful, and then as a team in Milwaukee, it's hard to win, and we went on a pretty good run there going to the conference finals, and it's not easy to get to. But in terms of you ask if how long it takes to get over it, or if you're over it, I don't know if you really ever do. I've like I said, I've won once and I've lost in the conference finals since then 3 times, and they kind of all stick with you. Like I know last year, or I guess 2 years ago now at this point, when I was in Stockton, we did the same thing, lost in the conference
Right.
finals, and those still kind of enter your mind on what ifs, or what could have been, because you work so hard throughout the year and put so much effort into it, and you grow so close to your teammates, and playoff hockey is just so fun. So when you come up short, it can be crushing, and it can be really demoralizing. So I think that always kind of sticks with you, and I think that not necessarily is a bad thing. I think it kind of can fuel you for future seasons, and try to hopefully use that in the right direction.
I'm curious where you go with this, and maybe this tells the personality I have, that I always think that the losing sits with me more than the winning does. Like there's more thinking, there's more, like you said, you sit there and you what could have been, all of this stuff. Winning was great, no doubt about that. There's probably nothing better, but the losing, I think, is what sticks around. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just because of how much work that not necessarily yourself, but you see so many other people put into it, behind the scenes, your teammates, and how badly you want those guys to succeed, and how badly you know that they want to succeed, and ultimately when that doesn't come to fruition, it hurts. And after that game 6, it was such a good group of guys, and the tough part about this league is like you lose your last game, and then that's pretty much half the team turns over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are your best friends that you see every day for 9 months out of the year, that some guys you might not ever see again, which is probably the worst part about it, to be honest with you. The longer you play, the closer you get with these guys, and they certainly become like family. And then it's just like, all right, see you later. Hopefully we cross paths soon. And never knowing if you really do. So that's when you see yourselves in these situations, when you're in the playoffs, and available to make a run, that you really take advantage of that situation, because they really don't come around very often.
What you just said, I think, is the key thing that so many people do not understand. In the NHL, you have the celebration, and you probably run back. If you had a 23-man roster, you probably run back with 17 of those guys. In the American Hockey League, if you have roughly a 25-man roster, you probably run back with about 11 or 12. So you're losing half of the club. Cole Schneider is gone, Jimmy Huntington, Devin Cooley. I mean, big names that have been around for a couple of seasons. That is a difficult thing. You've gone through it. Obviously, it doesn't make it easier, but you've gone through it. When you're sitting in the locker room after game 6 in the desert and you're looking around, is that going through your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a driving force too throughout, when your back's kind of up against the wall, in like we were a few times in that series, is you don't want this to be the last time you're putting gear on with this group of guys, because of how quick the turnaround is and how sudden it is. We lose in Coachella Valley, we fly back the next day, exit meetings the day after that, and then guys are on their flights or in their cars on their way home, and now you're shooting a text or a quick FaceTime with guys who you literally saw every day for 9 months, and these guys are your closest friends, right? So um, that is certainly the toughest part about what we do, and but at that same time, you like to see your teammates move on and play in the NHL, and get opportunities elsewhere. Like there's quite a few guys from our group in Milwaukee last year that are because of the way they played, are getting new opportunities in different organizations, and that's always a good thing. You want to see your friends and your teammates succeed, and team success. With team success comes individual success.
100%. The team success, if you're labeled a winner somewhere along the way, that's going to give you another year on your contract. It's going to give you a coaching role. It's going to give you something in the future. It certainly helps the resume.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the end goal, right? Is guys are competitors and guys want to win. So at the end of the day, that's what the guys running the show are looking for, is whoever's going to help accomplish the main goal at the end of the day. So it's why you show up at training camp, is to be that last one standing at the end of the year.
For you this last season, it was the first time in 3 years that you got NHL games, 23 games with the Predators. Um, you have to be pleased. You go deep into the playoffs. You played nearly 25 games in the NHL. I mean, played 72 games overall plus the playoffs. So it is a pretty special season for you personally.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when I signed in Nashville last summer, that was probably the organization I had circled on my list, not knowing if there would be any interest, but just knowing what I knew about the organization, and then with obviously the team being in Milwaukee in the American League, with it being so close to where I grew up and where I live now, I was very excited that was able to be a possibility. So just to start the year, I was fired up to be there, and then like you said, I worked my way back to the NHL, which a guy in my position or where I'm at in my career, you never know if that call is going to come again. Being what you could label as an older guy now, so you always keep that in the back of your head, and that's what you're striving for. So to see that kind of pay off this year, and be able to playing the NHL again this year was very rewarding, and it was a great experience and for a great team and great organization there in Nashville. But with that being said, the group, I've touched on already, was awesome in Milwaukee, and I mean, you can't look at the year as anything more than anything more than a success. Obviously, we fell a little bit short there in the end, but when you look at the years that basically everyone on the team had, there's really no other way to look at it than a success.
When the free agency period begins July 1st, and you mentioned you get back on the ice around the 4th of July, but that's when people are understanding all of the moves and all of the changes that will be made to teams. Are you active in that? I mean, your contract is set, so that's a blessing, I guess. You don't have to hustle for a job, but are you watching and paying attention and seeing who's going where and who's being added in Nashville and the coaching change in Nashville? I mean, are you trying to get as much information on everybody or trying to sell anybody on joining this organization?
I mean, I am just a fan, so I kind of follow that to begin with. That just interests me, like the transactions and things like that. And I've also played on a lot of different teams now. So I have a lot of friends around the league that I just kind of try to keep tabs on and see where they're ending up and things like that. So it was a very nice experience this year to not have to go through free agency. This is my first year not having to do it since my entry level deal.
Wow.
So I bet, yeah, it's been 1 year contract since my entry level deal. So to be able to have a 2 year contract and not have to deal with the added anxiety and stress of when that day kind of rolls around on the calendar is it was nice. And I think honestly probably nicer for my family just to know that this is where we're going to be, whether it's point A or point B, but we know where both those places are and where they're going to be, and we're familiar with it. So that takes a lot of just a little of anxiety out of the equation, just kind of knowing where you're going to be and knowing how everything works, and not have to meet 20 new teammates and the whole staff and all that is it's undercover a very nice thing to not have to deal with this year.
Well, that angst, I think, more so, especially when you're married and have a child and family and all, there's more angst because of what you're putting the others through than what you are going through, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you never know too. Like, is your phone going to ring on free agency day? So you have that to start with, and then like you said, you're picking up. I mean, your family really has no. I mean, you bounce ideas off of them, but they really don't. I mean, they have a say, but they don't. Look, you got to kind of go where you got to go at the
Where's
end of
the
the day.
job? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so they're just kind of. I mean, if I say along for the ride, that sounds bad, but they're obviously going to follow you where you go, and you just pray that they like it as well. So. Like I said, last year was a great situation for myself and for my family, for Morgan. She loved Milwaukee, loved the few trips she got to take to Nashville. So for us to be able to come back here this year we're really, really excited to be able to do it.
Yeah. So now the season, it's funny to say it's 3 months from when you and I are talking, roughly 3 months, that there'll be the home opener in
Yeah.
Milwaukee. Nashville will be playing right around that time. It's pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah, it goes quick, especially when you're playing into late June, which a lot of there's some guys who have been on summer for 2 months at that point. If you
Yeah.
really think about it that way, which obviously is a good issue to have. You want to be playing at that time of the year, so short summer is a good thing at the end of the day. But yeah, you fill a few weekends here or there. Next thing you know, it's mid-August, and you're getting ready to pack your bags and head out to training camp. So always an exciting time. So it is fun when that rolls around. But it's been good to just kind of take a step back here and just kind of enjoy a little bit of family time here.
So with the little one and the family time going on, have you done your normal summer activities? I don't know if you're hit the golf course or anything like that, or travel. Has it been kind of a normal summer?
Yeah, we usually go up to my wife's hometown over the 4th. We did that. We're actually, Morgan and I are going to go on a little trip here in a couple days. Her mom's going to come down and watch Maddox, so we'll be away for a few days there just to kind of take a deep breath, I guess. But other than that, like he's been pretty chill. He's been a great sleeper. He woke up at 7 in the morning today. He got 10 hours of sleep last night. So as long as he's doing that, you're not going to hear me complain a whole lot because I enjoy my sleep as well. So he's been pretty chill. We once he starts getting mobile and like crawling and things like that, I think you'll hear my tune change a little bit when you got to chase him around the house the whole time.
Yeah.
Right now, we're kind of just able to hang out all day, and you know, he just kind of stares through you. So it's been pretty fun so far. It's been awesome. He changes so much, almost it seems like every day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just been so cool, and I missed so much of it right when he was born. He was born, and then like I don't know, 3-4 days later, we were off to Winnipeg to start round one. So then we had the 2-week road trip to Texas and Coachella and all that. So I missed probably 3 of his first 6 weeks. So you know, it's a different child from week 1 to week 6. So it's been nice to be around for every day here and be able to see like the progressions and all that he makes. It's really nothing really can prepare you for it.
No, you're absolutely right. Kevin, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and we'll see you in September when camp gets going.
Absolutely. Thanks, Simsy. Appreciate it.
All right. That's Milwaukee Admirals defenseman Kevin Gravel.